Grace and peace. I'm Brian Musser, the Baptist Campus Minister at Drexel University, and this is Peace and Power Bible Study. The peace of Jesus Christ to change your life, the power of the Holy Spirit to change the world. And we are finishing up our journey through the book of Amos. This week we're going to be looking at the final chapter of Amos. This is our 10th week. We're going to be looking at good news and bad news. And in our first video of the week, we're going to look at the first couple verses and this final vision in the book of Amos. This final prophetic vision that we are going at. So let's read the first 4 verses together. I saw the Lord standing beside the altar, and he said, "Strike the capitals of the pillars so that the thresholds shake. Knock them down on the heads of all the people. Then I will kill the rest of them with the sword. None of those who flee will get away. None of the fugitives will escape. If they dig down to Sheol, from there my hand will take them. If they climb up to heaven, from there I will bring them down. If they hide themselves on top of Carmel, from there I will track them down and seize them. If they conceal themselves from my sight on the sea floor, from there I will command the sea serpent to bite them. And if they are driven by their enemies into captivity, from there I will command the sword to kill them. I will fix my eyes on them for harm and not for good." So looking at this is the 5th and final vision. We've already seen 4 other visions. We've seen the locusts in the beginning of chapter 7, followed immediately by the fire, followed by the plumb line. And then last week we talked about the vision of the summer fruit. This week it's the vision of the Lord standing by the altar. And it's a great and terrible vision that brings judgment onto the people of Israel. And just thinking back through some of those images, I don't know if you know what Sheol is in those verses, but it's kind of like a Hebrew word for Hades or for hell. It's the place of the dead. And then you heard heaven. And then Carmel is one of the highest mountains in the land of Israel. So when you heard it referencing Carmel, it was the top of the mountains all the way down to the bottom of the sea. Basically, the wrath of God would find you wherever you went, even if you were taken into exile. Exile would not be a hiding place for you. And as we're looking at these visions, these 5 visions, there's a progression in the visions. As the Lord speaks more and more, Amos speaks less. In visions 1 and 2, Amos spoke the most. The Lord spoke less than Amos. 3 and 4, the Lord spoke the most. Amos spoke less than the Lord. And in this vision, it's all just the Lord speaking. Amos is actually completely silent. Now, just some comments here. This idea of the Lord speaking, and it's highlighting judgment through direct divine action. God is going to do this. There will be no escape from the Lord. There will be no hiding from the Lord. I will fix my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. There is a determined a determined necessity of the Lord's judgment coming upon the Israelites. And he is determined to see that through. Kind of like from the previous week where the Lord vows not to forget their deeds. This is the Lord saying, I am determined for their, not necessarily evil, that's an interesting interpretation of the word, but it's for their harm, for their destruction, for their bad. Like, because they are evil, bad things the Lord has fixed upon them, that bad things will be upon them. Okay, so looking at these 2 verses here, moving on. The Lord, the God of hosts, he touches the earth. It melts, and all who dwell in it mourn. All of it rises like the Nile and subsides like the Nile of Egypt. He builds his upper chambers in the heavens and lays the foundation of his vault on the earth. He summons the waters of the sea and pours them out on the face of the earth. Yahweh is his name. In three places in the book of Amos, Amos breaks into kind of this hymnic praise of who Yahweh is, who God is, who the Lord is. There's an interesting reference here of the earth melting, which may be an allusion to an earthquake. But this is just a picture of God being and describing God being in control of all things in the natural world. And two of these passages, I'm just going to read them quickly here, 4:13 and 5:8 and 9, just to look at these. These are the other hymns in the book of Amos. He is here, the one who forms the mountains, creates the wind, and reveals his thoughts to the man. The one who makes the dawn out of darkness and strides on the heights of the earth. Yahweh, the God of hosts, is his name. And then 8 and 9 are the one who made the Pleiades and Orion, who turns darkness into dawn and darkens day into night, who summons the waters of the sea and pours them out over the face of the earth. Yahweh is his name. He brings destruction on the strong, and it falls on the stronghold. This idea is, and these hymns that Amos puts throughout this book describe God in a way that he is majestic and great. So these judgments that God is pouring out on the Israelites, this kind of God is able to complete them. Also kind of hints at the fact that God is great and just. So when God judges, those judgments are also just and determined. But God is in charge of the universe, and we see that in Amos and in these hymnic pieces in Amos. So just some questions to think about and to talk about, and we're just going to look at one other passage here in Psalm 139. We got this idea that we saw in 9 and 2 that no matter where Israel went, God would find them with his wrath. Psalm 139 presents something very different. Where can I go to escape? I mean, something very similar, but kind of in a different feel to it. Where can I go to escape your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I live at the eastern horizon or settle in the western limits, even there your hand will lead me. Your right hand will hold on to me. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, the light around me will be night. Even the darkness is not dark to you. The night shines like day. Darkness and light are alike to you. This is both Amos 9, 2 through 3, and Psalm 139, 7 through 12, which I just read. Both of them talk about Yahweh being present everywhere. There is no way to escape Yahweh's presence. But 139 seems to be painting it in a great light. No matter where I go, there you'll be, and you'll take care of me. Whereas Amos is presenting the other picture for the enemies of God. No matter where they go, they cannot hide from God, and God's judgment will always find them. Then what are your impressions from the phrase, I will fix my eyes upon them for evil and not for good? That's a strong statement. That's a scary statement. But it's this idea that God has determined to punish these Israelites. That seems in contrast to some things we often highlight about God. But his wrath is just as committed as his love at times. God needs to be a God of justice who punishes wrongdoings. And how does that all work out? Those are some very deep and intricate questions that I challenge you to think through, probably more often than we do. What does it mean that God fixes his eyes upon them? so that they are repaid for the evil that they have done. If you want to ponder a deep question this weekend, or this week, that would be the one. So as always, there are 2 ways to join us: live Monday nights at 7 p.m. via Zoom, and these weekly wrap-ups on YouTube and WordPress. I'm all over Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, WordPress, YouTube. Those links are in the descriptions below. I enjoyed having this conversation with you. Hopefully it continues soon.